sun rose over Election Day in Tanzania, a day meant for choice, for democracy, for hope. Thousands of citizens, mostly the youth, flooded the roads, their chants echoing across the nation. The air carried the smell of burning tires and tear gas. It was the sound of frustration, of a generation tired of promises and hungry for truth. Cameras captured scenes that would circle the world. Protesters waving the Tanzanian flag upside down, a signal of national distress. In Mwanza, in Arusha, even in remote rural towns, the unrest spread like a pulse, rhythmic, unstoppable. The reason was simple but powerful. President Samia Hassan's two strongest rivals had been disqualified, just days before the election. With opposition voices silenced, the outcome was already written, and the people knew it. As the chaos deepened, the capital became a theater of defiance. Tear gas clouds drifted through the narrow streets. Sirens cut through the air like screams. Reports came in of young protesters wearing police uniforms after officers fled their posts. Videos showed government buildings vandalized, petrol stations seized, and entire districts engulfed in flames. One of the first targets was the Mawasiliano Tower, Uprising, the nerve center of Tanzania's communications. When internet access was abruptly cut off, angry crowds stormed the building. Within hours it fell, fences torn down, data centers breached. The message was clear. If the government silenced the people online, the people would silence the government offline. A gas station owned by a ruling party figure was raided next. Dozens of gas cylinders were carried off, some to sell, some to build barricades. Every act of chaos was also an act of symbolism. By midnight, government and private buildings burned side by side, the skyline of Salaam glowing like a scar. For decades, Tanzania had been celebrated as one of Africa's most peaceful nations. But that night, the illusion shattered. The youth weren't just protesting corruption. They were protesting erasure, being left out of a system that claimed to represent them, yet never truly saw them. The announcement that broke the nation. 2 days later, amid this firestorm, the Tanzanian Electoral Commission announced what many already feared. President Samia Hassan had won, again. The numbers were staggering. 97.6% of the vote. To the government, it was proof of overwhelming support. To the people, it was proof of a lie. International observers expressed concern over transparency failures. Human rights groups reported hundreds dead and thousands arrested. But inside the ruling party's headquarters, celebration echoed. State media ran endless footage of parades, speeches, and flags. They called it a triumph of democracy. Outside, the world saw something else, a nation cracking under the weight of disbelief. The irony was bitter. Samia Hassan, once praised as a symbol of progress and unity, Tanzania's first female president, now faced the same accusations as the authoritarian figures she once promised to reform. Behind the victory percentages lay stories of exclusion, repression, and silent fear. Opposition leaders vanished overnight. Offices were raided, journalists detained, and yet, amidst all the chaos, a calm voice on state television declared, "The will of the people has spoken." But whose will was it? Every election tells two stories, one official, and one that lives in whispers. In Tanzania, the whispers grew louder than the speeches. Citizens spoke of mysterious black vehicles seen in opposition neighborhoods at night, of activists arrested without record, of data servers wiped clean. Those who questioned the results online found their accounts suspended, their posts deleted, internet cafes were raided, journalists harassed, and as fear spread, the sense of reality itself began to blur. Some believed the government was staging calm, broadcasting old footage to disguise chaos. Others claimed the army had fractured, with younger officers refusing to fire on citizens. Truth had become fragmented, scattered like ashes across a burning city. By the end of election week, over 300 people were reported dead. But the real number, activists say, was far higher. Hospitals overflowed, morgues closed their gates. And yet, President Samia Hassan appeared unfazed. At her inauguration, she smiled. She raised her hand. She swore to protect the Constitution. Behind her, smoke still rose on the horizon. From the outside, Tanzania appeared stable, but from within it was splitting along invisible lines. In Dar es Salaam, checkpoints multiplied. In Arusha, youth groups built barricades. The internet blackout continued, cutting citizens off from the rest of the world. The people no longer trusted words. They trusted whispers. Some compared Tanzania to Cameroon, where Paul Biya has ruled for over 4 decades, each election ending in near-total victory. Each protest answered with bullets. The patterns were familiar. Opposition barred. Fear normalized. Democracy turned into ceremony. But Tanzania was not Cameroon. It was younger, restless, and its youth had access to tools Biya's generation never faced. The digital battlefield. Encrypted apps, underground radio, satellite relays. The uprising didn't die. It evolved. When state TV went silent, live streams took over. When headlines disappeared, podcasts re-emerged from hiding. The message traveled not through governments but through the people themselves. Internationally, Tanzania's crisis barely made headlines. A world distracted by wars and elections elsewhere looked away. But those who understood Africa's history saw the deeper meaning. This was not just about cement. President Samia Hassan continued to rule, her administration quieter but more guarded than ever. Opposition voices whispered from exile. The youth went back to school, back to work. Yet something inside them had changed. They had seen what silence costs, and they would not forget. Tanzania's election of 2025 will be remembered not for its numbers, but for its lessons. It taught a continent that democracy without freedom is decoration, that peace without justice is illusion, and that every suppressed voice becomes an echo, one that returns louder with time. In the quiet after the storm, Tanzania waits. For reconciliation, for truth, for a new generation unafraid to rebuild what others broke. Every nation faces a moment when it must choose between pretending and changing. Tanzania's moment came under fire and smoke. Whether it emerges renewed or broken will depend not on its leaders, but on the courage of its people. You've been watching Black Empowerment, Africa Forever, uncovering Africa's untold stories and the deeper truths behind its unfolding revolutions. Subscribe for in-depth, fearless documentaries about Africa's future, its leaders, and its unstoppable youth.